So I want to give a, excuse me, after 2 days, you should never be the last talk in a meeting because your voice is completely shot, especially a meeting like this one where there's been a lot of discussion. Let me give a particular perspective of ORCID integration as society that is not just about publishing. I think I agree with all the, and respect the points that all the previous speakers made about some of the challenges directly associated with publishing, and I'll touch on them also, but also I'd like to highlight some of the larger challenges that we're facing as a society, as well as some of the larger big opportunities we see as a society, a large society, for using ORCID, both to help our members and to understand them a lot better. So, a little bit about AGU. The background there is from our fall meeting. It's one of 10 poster sessions we run at our fall meeting. AGU is one of the largest society fall meetings for any society. We get about 20 to 25,000 people for a week. Each poster session is about a football field long, and like I said, we run 10 of them. This is actually a pretty uncrowded poster session because happy hour hasn't broken out yet. So we also have 19 journals and books, about 60,000 members worldwide. That's annually. There's kind of a 10,000 or 15,000 ebb and flow members that join or don't join every year related to the fall meeting. Of our journals, we have about 11,000 submissions per year, or about 60,000 authors total when you count co-authors. I mentioned the fall meeting. Those are a separate abstract submission system, and we have about 20,000 abstracts every year, not just for the fall meeting, but several other meetings, so about 50 or 60,000 authors, depending on how many co-authors are there. These are all handled with 4 different large people databases, all with duplicates, and I'm guilty of that. I think in our member database, I'm there 2 or 3 times. In our author database, I'm there 2 or 3 times, and I don't even know how many times I've been in the abstract databases. I should say also, our journals are published in partnership with Wiley, and there's a production author database there as well, so that's the 4th. So, as I mentioned, 4 different databases, our peer review, member, abstract, and publisher. We also obviously want to integrate all of these so we can get a good view of what our members are doing. From a society point of view, from a member point of view, we want to integrate them so it's easy for them to interact with us and to know what they're doing with the society. ORCID is a key part of this integration, as I'll talk about in a minute. We've done some other steps to clean up the duplicates in the database in terms of matching emails. Our peer review system is through eJournal Press, and I'll show some examples of that. We were actually one of the first members of eJournal Press, so we've been working with them for quite a while. We've been adopting, so it's interesting to hear the comments about single sign-on. We've been trying to integrate single sign-on between all of our databases, again, to make it easier for members, and ORCID as well. And we are very close to, and we even be doing it now, passing IDs of authors. We're certainly passing ORCID IDs to Wiley, and I believe Wiley's passing them back to ORCID, maybe?
I can't.
Okay, very close to that. As just mentioned, we're obviously very interested in recognizing reviewers too. We have 15,000 reviewer instances, so working with us every year, and recognizing reviewers is a key issue that we want to provide better solutions for. So where we are in the timeline, I guess Macs aren't perfect, it's getting cut off at the top a little bit. So we've synced 2 of our databases already, so our author database and our member database, and are passing ORCIDs and other information between them. This was an effort between our eJournal Press and our IT department, and so that if someone updates their profile in one instance of the database, including adding an ORCID, it syncs. We have a nightly sync with our other database. And this has allowed our membership database to grow by including all our author and reviewer database. About only 1/3 of our papers are submitted by members, so having that information in our member database is very important, and in turn, and similarly, having the ability for an author or a scientist to just have one interaction point or one update point with our various databases is important. As I mentioned, we're hoping, or about to put published ORCIDs back to Wiley, and we're developing a new abstract database this year that we hope will also be integrated through single sign-on, and that captures many of the touch points that we have with members. As I mentioned, we're working on peer review credits back to ORCID and better ways of recognizing and knowing what our peer reviewers are doing. And probably next year, we hope, working with Wiley, we'll have full single sign-on between all our various databases. So a user, once they've logged into one system, can just move seamlessly to do whatever they want or whatever they need to do within our systems, and that profiles are integrated. So, I mean, in some sense, we have multiple instances of each person in each database, which means that we have many multiples of each people across all of our databases. So just a couple examples of how we're doing this. This is our profile page in GEMS for one of our journals. We have 19 journals, but all of them are connected to a common people database behind that, so we don't have 19 separate people databases for our journals. And you can see that we have a little link to register for your ORCID, and clicking here actually enables a single sign-on with ORCID. If you're already registered, it's like 2 clicks. Just click, click to get your ORCID ID imported into the database. If not, you have to register for ORCID and then click back, but it's pretty simple. Similarly, we do this on the people database. Again, there's this light screen problem, so if you could see the bottom of the screen, you'd see a similar link there for an ORCID ID. Maybe that's why not many people are registering. And I was just going to show here that after you clicked it, you get your ORCID ID in. So a couple challenges, aside from adopting your Mac to the screen, are that so far uptake has been a little bit gradual and slow. I agree. I was actually pretty amazed at what Elsevier's done. And I think the lesson I have, we started doing this in November of last year, is that we need to be, so my first thought was that earth scientists are all Tea Party libertarians. I don't think that's the case, and refuse to give us any information that they don't have to. So I think we have to be a bit more, or a lot more proactive about telling our members about ORCID, explaining the benefit for them, and explaining how easy it is to provide that information. And that's something that I don't think, even though we have emails going out to all our co-authors upon submission of a paper, asking them to come and add or update an ORCID profile, and even though we have these various links through these databases, it's something we haven't been exceptionally proactive about. So I think that's one of our lessons, is that we need to be much more proactive about that. I think a biggest challenge, we've been getting more corresponding authors than co-authors, and again, so what I really think is that the hurdle is anything that requires additional clicks or information entry by anyone entering at any kind of system, whether it's Amazon or our system, has a very high threshold to get over. So it's been problematic for co-authors and reviewers. Reviewers are provided a simple direct link to get into the system. And co-authors of abstracts, I think, are going to even be a greater challenge to linking those. So I think that's, oops, wrong way. That's it. Thank you.